Well, good afternoon. I am very pleased to be here, and welcome to Indianapolis's newest crime fighter, the real-time data center housed here at the Regional Operations Center. This facility will provide data to local, state, and federal law enforcement personnel in Marion County. During the course of this past campaign, I told the people of Indianapolis that it was my intent to make our city safer. Well, this is a major step toward achieving that promise. Using state-of-the-art computer analytical programs, we are going to be able to take a data-driven approach to keeping our neighborhoods safe and reduce incidents of crime. We, therefore, are not only being tough on crime, but we are being smart on crime. As Chief Riggs and his staff keenly understand, this data center will give officers on the street more information about possible suspects and situations than ever before. When a traffic stop is initiated in Marion County, this center will give officers more information about the vehicle and its occupants. Previously, the officer had to rely on his or her own in-car computer to determine if a potentially dangerous suspect was indeed behind the wheel. As this center becomes fully operational, a team of police and civilian specialists will be able to get information about that particular vehicle from not only the plate, but from the car's vehicle identification number, or VIN. It will tell the officer if the vehicle has ever been used in a crime or if it has ever been owned or operated by a previously convicted criminal. Every month, law enforcement agencies are going to sit down and look at the data coming out of this facility. They're going to see how the center can improve. They're going to look at how effective it has been at the goal we have for it of reducing crime. We want residents of our city to know that this is not a static computer bank, but rather an organic, ever-changing system looking at crime using the latest technology and helping our officers be more proactive than ever before. The center will have the ability to see the likelihood of crimes before they are committed by any particular individual. It will look at known associates of criminals and attempts to predict when, where, and how future crimes may be committed. And it will learn. As more data is put into the system, it will eventually analyze its own output and modify algorithms to increase more correctly the predictions that it is designed to make. Simply put, the real-time data center will usher IMPD's crime-fighting abilities firmly, fairly, and squarely into the 21st century. It will be our proactive method of reducing crime in our great city, the city of Indianapolis. So it is indeed an honor. I'd like to turn it over now to the police chief of the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department, Troy Riggs, who has been, I might add, instrumental in creating this real-time data center. And through his leadership, we are going to enjoy the benefits of it. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. Just a couple of things that I certainly want to reiterate. As part of the mayor's 100-day plan, this is something we wanted to begin in the first 100 days, but we're going to grow this over time and effort. The individuals that will be working here in the Real Crime Time Center will be working in the back room where you see some of the monitors. We will have individuals here. We hope to have most of the hours of the day covered long term, but to begin with, we'll have about 6 to 8 individuals. We're looking at 6 additional slots. And then you'll see all the other resources that currently exist within IMPD and how we're moving them to under this command in a moment. But I want to talk about three things that this center is going to do for us immediately. Number one, to provide to us crime and data analysis, real-time crime and data analysis, information that we can use for our community meetings that we'll be hosting here. The data meetings that we promised, they will begin next week, the first of many we hope to have this year. They'll also provide information to our state, local, and federal partners. The other thing that it does is gives investigative support. As our detectives are working cases around this city, obviously 144 homicides, but in numerous other crimes as well, felonious type crimes, they're working very hard and they need assistance, tracking down leads and such. This center can offer them the assistance that they have not had in the past. And then there's a third element that I don't want to overlook, and that's the real-time incident response. In the case of a crime that's ongoing, you'll see a presentation here in a moment that'll give you an example of how we can utilize this center to deal with a crime that is occurring now and to find leads and suspects instantaneously is our hope in the future. But also living in Indiana and the threat of man-made or natural disasters that exist anywhere in the world today. But here with tornadoes and flooding and the things that we have, if you come to this room and it's operating as the Emergency Operations Center, that real-time crime center can be looking at social networks, they can be dealing with our partners, getting information to the decision makers, the mayor of this great city in real time so decisions can be made. What does that mean? Not only are we trying to positively affect the crime rate and moving it downward, but we're also think that if we have that type of center and that type of robust response, that lives will be saved in the event of a disaster in our city. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Major Kern and Captain Elder to give you the presentation of some of the capabilities that already exist that we hope to grow up upon over the next few months and years.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Tom Kern. I'm a major in our administration division. I'm working with Captain Elder here to come up with the initial concept of the real-time data center. In Indianapolis, our police officers have access to vast amounts of information in the patrol car, and our detectives do. We started counting the different programs. We got up to around 100 and quit counting. These are programs that any officer can get access to. The reality is that they cannot access these programs on their way to an incident as they're responding. Also, we have over 100 data tables with warehouse data that we use to do our crime analytics. Again, these are things that detectives and patrol officers, while they're responding to an incident, cannot possibly take full advantage of. So the idea of the real-time crime center or crime data center is to have individuals who are fluent in using all these applications, as many as they can, access this data and be able to push that information out. We think in this first year, as we get the data center going, we could probably have an impact at least 1,000 incidents this year between homicides, shootings, serial robberies, pursuits, barricaded subjects, those type of incidents that officers need that information immediately and detectives get going on their investigations right away. Simply broken down, we have three components of what will be the real-time data center. The real-time incident response. What can the analyst be pushing out to the officers in the first 30 to 60 minutes of a critical incident? Investigative support. As an incident turns into a criminal investigation, what can the analyst be doing to provide information to the detectives to save them that time after they go back to their office and put their cases together? And finally, the crime and data analysis, looking at our data warehouses, looking at the new data that's coming in and helping us direct resources and come up with strategies in the neighborhoods to make a better impact. As we sat down and looked at how we would make this come together, it's amazing that we already have a vast amount of these resources in the department. Most of the resources are working on individual initiatives, whether they're focused on a specific crime type or a specific area of the city. Our plan is to take those resources, focus them under the concept of this real-time data center and make them a benefit to the entire city, to other agencies throughout central Indiana. So from here, Captain Elder will talk about the next couple phases, the real-time incident response, investigative support, and then I'll come back and talk a little bit about the crime and data analysis.
Thank you, Major. The real-time response, like you said, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We've got all these applications and programs that the officers have available to them. But when you're driving to the scene of a crime or you're on the scene of an active crime where you've got suspects and witnesses and victims, you don't have time to send somebody back to the car to find the information. So this is what this real-time crime group can do. They would be monitoring cameras, they would be monitoring police radio and looking for ways that they can help. We found this from New York. I'm going to play this video now. This is what we think we can already do now and get going more advanced in the future.
Police operator 122, what's your emergency?
No, a guy just robbed me. He stuck a gun on my face, took everything.
Do you know what he was wearing?
No, I'm not sure. It happened so fast. All I know, he had a tattoo on his neck.
Okay, sir, police are on their way.
The gentleman produced a silver handgun, took the owner at gunpoint around the counter, and removed a large sum of money from the cash register.
On the way out of the location, the manager noticed that he had a tattoo on his neck. Had the word sugar written in it.
He's male Caucasian, 6'2", sugar tattoo on his neck. Last
Detectives reached out to us with the nickname Sugar.
We were able to bring back a man with a violent robbery history. We pulled up his photo and his physical attributes, and he matched the description to a T. We then helped him develop information on his possible whereabouts.
Myself and a team of detectives from the Midtown Road Squad went to a housing project. A group of us walked through the front door, up a flight of stairs, till we came to apartment 2B. We knocked on the door, and inside was our perpetrator.
Now this was abbreviated, but this actual function actually took only 20 minutes when New York City did this. When we're looking at crime trends and things, we can look at this. We have heat maps. The more crimes in an area, the darker the color, or we can set it up to be a hotter color like red, or we can set them in multiple incident maps like this. Not only can it help give the commanders information on where they may want to get patrol because of certain kind of crimes that are occurring, but because sometimes it takes up to 24 hours to get stolen items into the NCIC and IDACs, we can see here that, well, these are vandalisms, but let's say there were car break-ins and Uniform has a car stopped within a couple blocks of one of those intense areas. We can now go to the reports that are on the left side of the screen, look at the property stolen and match up property found in a car that's pulled over with stuff that was reported stolen and not just in the system yet. We can add keywords into this. Like on this one, we added the word "give me your wallet," and we pulled up over 2,800 reports where that phrase was used in the commission of these robberies. So we can look through and see if there's suspect information and other information that would be vital for the uniform or detectives on the scene. When the mayor talked about when uniform stops somebody, we want to know about them. This is an example of where we can look into our COPLINK database and see that this one individual has 7 vehicles that he's been linked to, and 12 different addresses, and 2 different kinds of property, and 9 different people. So when we're looking at this person and he may have done a crime, but he had somebody with him, we have 9 associates that could have done it, or if he was the victim of a crime, maybe he had a run-in with one of those 9, so we can look for suspects. We can break it down that way. The investigative supportive group is something that we've been doing pretty much this year. When an incident happens, we start looking at everybody involved and the address. We look at our victims, we look at our suspects. We want to know who their friends are, their families are, their enemies are, what reports they've been in. We've got criminal histories, really bullet point brief histories in there. And then if our detectives find stuff through their investigative, we put that in the quantitative information area so that we can get it to the detectives, because we want the detectives to not have to spend their time doing this kind of work. We want them to be out talking to witnesses and canvassing neighborhoods. We can then also look, we do this, it's a 30-day snapshot of what kind of crimes are happening around where the incident actually happened, and we can put in there's a list of like 20 different incidents, and we can choose which ones we want to look at, and then we actually put a live neighborhood shot with the things on there of what went on around where the incident happened. This is something we're really starting to learn on. We could take these 2 individuals and go into COPLINK and look through the databases to see where they're connected and how these 2 individuals have been connected together. Through either phone numbers or houses or other individuals they've been arrested with. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Major Kern for the data and crime analysis.
As I stated earlier, we have hundreds of tables in our databases with millions of records, and we want to do a much better job using that data to drive our resources throughout the city. For instance, in the focus areas, when you throw up the crimes themselves and you try and map them on a map, it comes up as a bunch of dots. It doesn't tell us much of a story. But through good analytics, we can take that data and drill down to very small areas. This is an example of where we took the data, all the runs, the reports, the shootings, narcotic seizures, all the different data points we could find, and put them into the focus area, and we're able to look at 250 square foot areas. And in doing that, we were able to quantify and show these smaller areas, the red, the purple, where the data shows that the crime is actually being driven out of this larger area. From there, we can look at those areas and get an idea of what type of problems are driving crime in that 250 square foot area. Is it prostitution? Is it public intoxication, disturbance runs? Offenses against persons, narcotics. So we can develop strategies for those very focused small areas. Additionally, we can look at the data, and it'll tell us who's involved in these things. Here is an example of a 6-month period where we have individuals that have been listed as arrested or suspects 10 different times in police reports, or victims 10 different times in a small period of time. It gives our street officers and our detectives, our commanders, some folks to focus on to go talk to and see if we can't help resolve some of their issues. Another thing that we want to use the data to do a better job is in predictive analysis and forecasting. This is taking a series of robberies and using the data from those robberies to forecast where the next robbery is most likely to take place. By looking at the MO, we can look at probably the next type of location that serial robber might hit, or that group. And so we want to use the data better for our detectives to drive our resources in trying to prevent those future incidents as well. Overall, that's a brief summary of the concept of the real-time data center. We, of course, have a lot of next steps to do. We need to continue to look at the existing resources we have to better focus them. We've already identified, as you can see, a lot of them that will get this started right away. We'll continue to look at best practices from around the country, what other cities are doing. Although this is Indianapolis, we're going to adapt this to do what we need to do for Indianapolis, and look for those gaps and make recommendations to improve in the future. Thank you very much.
A couple of things just to point out. We talked a lot about crime, but let's not forget one of the things that I think we do well here in the city is looking at those quality of life issues and try to enhance the quality of life of residents. This center will also continue to look at those issues like mental health, vacant housing, and providing the mayor and also the nonprofits and faith-based organizations community good data, better data, more robust than we've had in the past. And after we're finished here, feel free to walk in the back. There'll be someone back there to show you around if you want to see some of the cameras that are being monitored, where individuals are going to be working. This room in general will change in appearance over the next few months, and you'll see more and more about this center as we move forward. So at this time, any questions we'll be certainly ready to ask, and we'll answer.
How many employees total are going to end up managing this operation, and how many do you have to have?
Well, right now you saw the different charts from the different areas within IMPD, and then also our partners outside. They're going to be giving information in. Right now we have 7 or 8 people that are be dedicated to this facility working on that. We have another 6 slots that we're looking to fill in the near future. So that's the immediate growth of the Real Crime Center, all done within our existing budget, all done with existing software and technology that we have. I am looking at the future to a couple additional pieces that I think could help us. Crime map so citizens could understand better. We're looking at that now. I'm looking for a proposal on that over the next month or two. I'm very hopeful that comes through at a price that we can absorb within our own budget, and there may be some grants for that as well.
So this will make the police department, better investigators and operate more efficiently. But is there going to be a commensurate upgrade in the rest of the criminal justice infrastructure, meaning the crime lab, probation, parole, those entities?
All I can do is speak for PD, but I can tell you this. The mayor has been very clear during the campaign and also in the first few weeks of office. We're going to be as efficient and effective as possible. I think you're seeing the effectiveness on this, but remember, this is an existing budget that we're doing it. We are hopefully going to provide information to all those partners that they can use to be as efficient and effective as we're trying to be as well. We'll have conversations. Remember, our approach is not just IMPD, but regionally it would involve all those partners you mentioned and others, and hopefully we can learn from one another. But I can't speak on behalf of what they'll do, but I can assure you we'll be able to share with them information that they've never seen before. Mayor, you have anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You good? Ready to roll?